Good afternoon to you, to whichever part of the globe you belong to. I am Professor Dinesh Gusai, logging you in this session on entrepreneurship, and we would actually continue this forward and take this forward, understanding new facets and dimension when it comes to entrepreneurship. But as we normally do, friends, let's have a quick recap of whatever we have done so far. We'll give a broad outline of what we are going to address and then get into details. So, primary learning strategies, they say that you recap whatever we have done so far, get an overview, and then get into details. Part of learning strategy. So, we in the last two sessions we had understood the definition of entrepreneurship. We have defined it from various perspectives. We have looked into the importance of entrepreneurship in the entire economy. We have looked into also which sectors, be it a small scale, mid-size or the large scale industries that entrepreneurs belong to, and how is their contribution when it comes to the economy of the entire nation constitutes. We have also spoken about the second aspect we had spoken about in terms of how entrepreneurship plays a role in not only building the economy but also networking different kind of industries. We have also figured in the characteristics that an entrepreneur need to have when it comes to building an enterprise. And that was the first half. The second half we have spoken on before starting an entrepreneurship or also while during running an enterprise, what business analysis needs to be done. In that we spoke about the internal environment, the external environment. When we spoke about the internal environment, they are the internal customers. We speak about the marketing intermediaries, so on and so forth. And also the external environment, we spoke about political conditions, economic conditions, the social cultural conditions as well. So this is what we had spoken about in our last two sessions. And I presume, although it's my assumption, that you might have gone through the lecture, one, written some important aspects from the last two sessions, maybe dropped a query, shared your experience with ISBM. Today also, I request that you pick up a page and a pen, ideal learning strategies, because understand, friends, at the end of the day, it's not just about getting marks or getting degrees. It's also about understanding conceptually as well. So at ISBM, we are very clear that it's not just about a degree, it's about education. And when we speak of education, we expand the horizon and definition about the standard definition of education from a curriculum to knowing things better. So it's about learning how do we learn as well. So on this context, in the subject of entrepreneurship, today we would be discussing on two areas. One, risk management. That's something that's going to be a very interesting subject when it comes to today's module. One, risk management, and two, another interesting part, the role of women entrepreneurs in making of an enterprise. We will look more from an Indian perspective, but also global scenario inclusive as well, where we will compare various data coming in from various countries about the ratio of women becoming an entrepreneur. So these are two areas that we will touch upon: risk management and women entrepreneurship. So let's start with the first module, that's about risk management. Friends, let me tell you, the idea about starting an enterprise itself is risk. And when I say risk, it means that people who start an on enterprise actually uh, belongs into two category. One, they might be employed somewhere and then they want to start a business. So that means that they are leaving a job and starting a business. Now, is there a risk involved? For sure it is. Plus, even after starting a business, there are so many risks involved. So, when you speak of entrepreneurship, risk comes in hand in glove. That means there's an old saying in entrepreneurship, no risk, no gain. So, if there is an element of risk involved, but there's also an element of gain involved as well. So, they kind of run parallelly as well. In our first module, we will try to understand risk from an entrepreneur's perspective. So we identify what all business risks are involved in starting an enterprise and how do you deal with that risk. Now, students, you also at some point of time, if you're already employed or you are already running a business organization, this becomes a very interesting facet to know. Maybe in future you want to become an entrepreneur. This is an important part when it comes to entrepreneurship. So objectives that we are going to understand is first that risk is inevitable. Means what? It means that when we start an enterprise, it is given that the risk is there, and there are so many risks involved. And I mean, simple example: if you start an enterprise, you never know whether that kind of business model will exist 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. So imagine, would an individual at this point of time invest his money for a tailor enterprise, for becoming a tailor as an enterprise, maybe a group of tailors? Maybe not, because that's not what the future is, because tailoring has become more automated rather than being individual shop owner based. So risk about how technology is changing things. Let's take another simple example: SMS, the short service, the short messaging service. Now, SMS 6-7 years back was a standard platform to deliver messages, isn't it? We all know that. But today, with WhatsApp and so many other platforms of communication, be it one way or two way, SMS itself has become redundant. So within the platform of communication itself, be it through voice call, a data call, it could be messaging, SMS as an application has become redundant. Now, investing money as far as SMS is concerned, now at this point of time doesn't hold true. So from an entrepreneur's perspective, it is very important when he's investing his time, resource, energy, money in any of the technology, because whatever kind of business you are in today, you cannot these days avoid technology, because technology is the platform through which we are all connected, right from a computer to a telephone to modes of communication. This is all technology driven. So technology becomes one of the important variants. Now with these variants also comes the risk as well. And for example, banking. Now banking, since with the ease of internet banking, with the ease of banking through digitalization, is there another risk involved? Yes, of data pilferage, of hackers, of confidentiality. There are so many other risks involved. So this all is inevitable part of it. Now the point is, when we are running an enterprise, it is given that the risk is there. We will also look into want to figure out categories of risk as well. Now we'll look into what is a speculative risk. Now speculation, as the word mention or says, is 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 you're not sure. That means the risk, you're absolutely not sure whether it will pay off or not pay off, is speculation. So you're not sure about risk. And there is a second type of risk called the pure risk. That means in pure risk it is defined that it is absolutely, if you put in money, you will book loss. That's a pure risk. The speculative risk is you're not sure of. Pure risk is absolutely sure it's you're going to book loss. So important element to understand, risk is the fact of life for entrepreneurs. And let me tell you friends that majority of people who intend to become entrepreneurs but don't become eventually, one of the top 5 reasons is not able to take risk. And the risk could be any. Now the risk could be of money risk, the risk could be of social risk, the risk could be mental risk, in terms of social status, in terms of how you want to project yourself. So important to understand, people who have made it big have taken risk. So on the other end of the spectrum, it also means that people who like to be in the comfort zone, who always play safe, entrepreneurship is not their cup of tea. So important for entrepreneurs, one of the key attributes that we spoke in our first session is risk taking ability. Yes, it needs to be mitigated well. Yes, it needs to be managed and maneuvered well. Yes, we will look into how it could be decreased or possibly eliminated at some stage of time. To build a successful business and maximize profits, they must understand risk and make decisions to deal with it. So since the project is a risky affair, doesn't mean we should not try, because otherwise every project has an element of risk. So the point is how, as an entrepreneur, he is going to deal with this risk is the point. Now categories could be any of those. Speculative risk. Now speculative risk is the risk that we are not sure. For example, robbery. Now we know robbery can happen, cannot happen. I mean, you never know, because it's by chance actually. Pure risk, it's electronic credit authorizer. Pure risk, if the payment transaction for the enterprise is through an electronic medium, and that's the reason now the OTP has become so very common word. That is the authorization number, where people authorize through either to a PIN number, TPIN number, or a PPIN number, where authentication is required, where otherwise if authentication is not, for example, credit cards. Now OTP has been introduced in Indian market for the last 5 years. Otherwise earlier, for a credit card, just a swap was good enough and the transaction is to happen. And because of that, lot of illegal money transfer, unauthorized kind of payments were done, and hence banking changed their rules to start OTP. So that's about pure risk. Burglary. Now burglary, we know that it's about stealing of any of the equipments, could happen due to negligence. Now negligence due to not very planned and prepared about it, not taken care so that the store or the factory is not really guarded well, could be any of this. Now let me also tell you that risk could be further looked into from various couple of parameters. One, it could be strategic risk. Now, strategic risk is a risk, friends, that an entrepreneur just can't avoid. For example, a company wants to launch a product, right? Now, is there a strategic risk involved? For sure, it does. Because you never know when once you're launching the product, some other company also launched the product at half the cost. So that's the risk, and that's very strategic in nature. The this other elements of risk are because of negligence, because of non-preparedness as well. Now, every business faces risk, the possibility of a loss or injury. Now, the loss could be of multiple types. Loss could be of actual financial matters, the tangible money, that's one type of loss. The second could be of loss of time involved, loss of capital involved, loss of life, because if a factory is working and if factory doesn't adhere to safety norms, so for example, because of negligence, now, is there a risk involved of casualty, of any mismanagement of people life? Yes, for sure it is. So that's about negligence. So business risk falls into two categories. They are speculative risk and pure risk. So when we speak of speculative risk, the most business decisions such as marketing a new product involves a speculative risk. Now let's take this by an example. Now, with suppose a mobile company wants to launch a product in the marketplace. Now, since the market is already a saturated market with a huge price variance right from Micromax to an iPhone, where the range starts from 2000 to a lakh. That's the range that a smartphone these days has. Now, if a company is launching a new product, it's very much possible that the product might not sell because it's already a saturated market. There is no differentiator. If it's just a Me Too product that you also have it, I also have it. If that's the product category that we're dealing with, then it is a risk for sure. And that risk goes with even for an iPhone. Now, when iPhone has launched the new version, you never know actually it will take off or not, as were the previous models as well. Entrepreneurs need to be prepared about it, and that's the important point. Because if entrepreneurs just think that it is a risk and they don't take that risk, difficult to do business. And speculative risk are the risks that people should have the mental frame first that risks are inevitable, part of life. But can we deal with it better? Yes. Can we manage it better through techniques and strategies? Yes. So speculative risk is inherent to business, now involving the chance of either a profit or a loss. So we know that speculation, as the words we mentioned, that we don't know, or we are not sure about it. So, but that's part of the nature of the business. So from an entrepreneur's perspective, need to be aware that if you are putting in money to a product launch, to an SBU launch, to a system launch, to any kind of launch in the marketplace, that in itself is a risk. And yet, the entrepreneur needs to take that risk, because it might still book a profit, it might still do well, and that's very important to understand. Now, let's take examples of, let's take a couple of examples. On one side, we take examples where we launch a product and made it really big in spite of all odds. For example, Pulse Candy. Have you heard about Pulse Candy? Yeah, it comes from a DS group of company based in Delhi. A Pulse Candy uh, is a combination of two tastes actually. One is the Kachakeri along with the Hajmola. Now, when they launched Pulse Candy and what DS group of companies did was they had zero marketing plan for the candy markets because they were always into the pan masala, pan parag, manik chand kind of group, catering to the betel nut market. So when they launched a Pulse Candy with zero marketing, yet Pulse became 100 crore brand in less than a year in just launch with 4 states of Maharashtra, Gujarat, MP, Rajasthan. That's about it. Now it is going to touch 2017. It will touch close to 200 with launch of almost 10 to 12 states in India. The point is, in spite of all odds, still the product might do well. That's about Pulse Candy. Let's take the other example as well. Sometimes with the best of the things, you never know it might still not work. Let's take a recent closeout of our com. Now Reliance Communication, when they were in the marketplace, they were pretty much doing good, to say so, last maybe a decade or so, and with good financial backup power, with coming from an Anil Ambani group, good infrastructure, good networks, and good penetration as well. They were the top 3 players last 5 years back, and now we know it's closed. So the point is, in spite of the best of the environment, best of the resources, having the best of the market share, yet the product line, the SBU, the organization itself can get closed. So it's a speculative risk. Pure risk. Now, pure risk is something that an entrepreneur need to know the difference between a speculative risk and a pure risk. So a natural disaster such as a food accident involving a customer or an employee is a pure risk for a business owner because that's actually a loss. So pure risk is a threat of loss to a business without any possibility of gain, such as a robbery or an employee theft. For example, a tsunami coming in, earthquake that shake Nepal and parts of UP and Delhi, a tsunami coming in Japan in 2006-7, where a lot of small industries were wiped off in one go, actually in one go. So these are natural calamities where there's no chance of actually gaining something. It's all loss. So when we speak of a pure risk, they always lead to loss. From an entrepreneur perspective, need to know that a pure risk exists. We never know when it's going to happen, but the point is, can we deal with it better, in a better way, is the point. Employee theft, for example, we know can happen, and employee theft is a pure risk where there's no chance of any gain whatsoever, but definitely a loss. So when you speak of 3 categories of pure risk exist. So when we speak of pure risk as well, there are the categories through which this could be explained and debriefed, and those are: 1. Crime, natural disasters and accidents. Now crimes. Now if for example riots or any of the crimes that exist in the city, in the district, that can affect business. For example, if a riot happens and there's a small entrepreneur who has just started the business of maybe AC and refrigerator small shop as an enterprise. And because of riots, the city is closed down for a week to a fortnight. Now tell me friends, would he suffer losses? Yeah, for sure. Because the shop is closed and there is no chance of sale happening. So that's about crime. Natural disaster we spoke about, be it tsunami, earthquake, rains, flood, drought, accidents. Accidents, if an enterprise is about manufacturing, it has equipments, it has machineries where any kind of accident or a mishap which can lead to people losing their arm, maybe their leg, their finger, or possibly life itself. So pure risk can further be divided into three categories. Now, friends, important to understand that for an entrepreneur, these elements of risk he should be aware of, because a lot of time, is this part of planning as well? For sure, yes. Because if he doesn't account this into his background, or some cushion he doesn't keep for factoring in these elements, because when it happens, it doesn't tell us and come, and when it happens, sometimes the companies need to shut down if they're not well prepared about it. Crime. Now, when you speak of crime, small businesses are 35 times more likely than large businesses to be victims of crime. Now, very significant aspect, friends, is 35 times more likely than large businesses. So that means that more smaller, and we know entrepreneurs, 75% of them come from a small scale to mid-size group. So they are more susceptible to this pure risk of crime. And those includes shoplifting. That means somebody picks up, some customer comes in the shop and picks up the item and goes off. That's a loss. It could be employee theft, where if you are in a diamond market or a gold market or refinery kind of industry, where the employee can actually rob the shop in some ways, or could be part helping someone. Burglary, we know that any external thieves coming into the action. Robbery, stolen credit cards, and bad checks. So bad checks also means that the customer or the end client has given the payment, but not really in cash because of low credit worthiness. Or it could be computer crime. And in today's world, for an entrepreneur, the last point, computer crime important from multiple factors. Simple reason, since we are all globally connected through a world wide web, all our information is loaded in the computers. Not only the financials, but also in terms of very private information as well, which are very confidential in nature when it comes to the nature of business. And it could be the patents, it could be the methodology, it could be the process, it could be the client data list, it could be the quotations, many things. And if competition or any of the marketplace is aware about this, huge loss. So crime can happen with any of these variables. So when we speak of crime, shoplifting include, so when you want to deal with shoplifting, that means that if you have a shop or a small retail arena, shoplifting is something which is very common. So techniques to reduce. Now understand, when we are speaking of pure risk, we know by definition pure risk means the losses would be there. So for entrepreneur, what he should do is how he can deal with in such a way that the robbery would, any of the pure risk will reduce. So one, train employees to recognize shoplifters. So that means it comes to good observation about who all are coming inside. Devise a methodology through which this could be avoided. Keep store well lit and merchandise visible. So that means keeping the entire retail of the shop very well lit, and the entire thing should be visible, because in the dark shoplifting chances are more. Employ two-way mirrors or closed TV circuits. So now we are living the times of CCTVs, where where from the main desk you can actually get a view of whatever is happening as well. So that gives a good little idea and range about what things are happening as well. Use tamper-proof price tickets or electronic tags. So nowadays, if you might have observed this, if you go to a shopping mall, they're all given with an electronic price tag. And if the price tag is not removed, which happens in the billing counter, if it is not removed, and if you walk off from the main door of the mall, an automatic burglar alarm sets off, which alarms the security that this particular item is the payment is not done, because that's a default mechanism. That is one of the counter checks used for shoplifting. So various methods to negate it. Hire a uniform security guard, where a physical guard to inspect, to just know that we are there to protect. So various methods when it comes to crime. Ways to discourage employee theft. Now this is about the shoplifters. But now let's speak about employee theft. Now establish policies and communicate them verbally and orally. Policies that employee theft would be a zero tolerance issue. Do not tolerate employee theft. Maybe as a written draft or communicated orally. And reinforcing that multiple times, bringing strong work ethics into the system. Lock up all doors that are not needed for entry or exit. So if there is a manufacturing unit, or if it's a small retail stores or any kind of office, see to it that the entry exit points are not many. Ideally one, but if the size of the organization is more, maybe couple only. And that's the reason you'll find that majority of even big corporations also have one or two entry exit points only. That is one of the reasons to manage this. Watch your trash for stolen items. So also one of the methods through which data leakage happens is also through trash. So observing the trash as well, where if anything is stolen or not. Controlled security. So stemming up security in such a way that aspects of these type of crime are also reduced. The problem of burglary is growing, but there are ways of business owners to minimize the risk. We know that burglary as such is a very common thing, and especially, and if you see, the more underdeveloped and the developing countries, burglary is more because of the difference between the haves and have-nots. If this difference between the haves and have-nots is too wide, we know that chance of burglaries are more. Even in developed countries, burglary happens. So burglary is the act of breaking into and entering a building with an intent to commit a felony. A felony is defined as a serious crime. Now it could be to lit the shop on fire. It could be anonymity. It could be animosity. It could be to cause harm to the entire building, possibly to the entire store, or possibly to an individual. So burglary is one of those things. So in the business, owner's responsibility is to protect employees and customers and crimes such as burglary, robbery, by letting the robber take away what she wants. So if suppose a robbery is happening at this point of time, and if an entrepreneur is there, So it is very important from the entrepreneur's perspective to safeguard first life of self and all the employees who are working for him, if at all they are. So they say that if life is there, money could be earned, isn't it? So first, protection of life, and the later could be taken off by other measures as well, like possibly insurance, maybe policing action about it as well. So robbery is a taking of property by force or threat, usually by means of a weapon. So they say on a gunpoint. So gunpoint, knife point, whatever the case might be, but it's by force or by threat. So since, let's also speak about crime from a card perspective. Now since credit cards can be a source of financial loss to a business, an electronic credit authorizer machine can be a valuable tool. So any kind of business transaction that is happening through a card, a machine, a point of sale, it is very important to see that it is authorized one. Security devices are there, so it will be decoded well, and that is very much a responsibility of an entrepreneur. The electronic credit authorizer machine that verifies whether the credit card is good, stolen or invalid, because a lot of time what happens is people decode lots of numbers, right from the mobile number to the PIN number, to the TPIN number. So it is important that through this machine the authenticity of the card is established. This is important because for an entrepreneur, any mismanagement of finances could lead to great loss. And we have mentioned this, small entrepreneurs all the more important. We mentioned all the purest factors amount to 35 times more risk than a large enterprise. Now 35 times is huge, and even if the financial loss is of some amount, for a small entrepreneur that is big, that financial loss might put the entrepreneur 5 years back on track. 5 years back, I'm saying. So is that loss of time, energy, resource? Yes, for sure. Natural disaster. Now many owners suffer losses not only due to crime, but also from natural disasters like fire, earthquakes, tornadoes, floods. We know when in 2013 it was, when tsunami hit waves of South India, where life right from Chennai, great parts of Tamil Nadu, Kerala, it created a havoc for close to 2 months. And when it comes to tsunamis, it's never that it is coming in silos. There are other variables also that gets affected. For example, if a tsunami comes in and is rampant and it comes with great force, power disturbance comes in along with it. Other communication tools get disturbed. The entire environment of that place is in disarray. The sense of ease of doing business goes down. The ease of functioning goes down. The mindset is disturbed. And all these things doesn't lead to healthy business environment. So the point which I want to drive home, friends, is that even if a natural calamity is one, it never in isolation, because everything is systemic. That means we are connected to one another through various systems. One is the financial system, one is the power systems, which is an important element of doing business. The other is the elements of the human resource system. The other is elements of the business cycle. So there are various systems that are interlocked with each other, and each of these elements, be it a fire, be it any of those, They're all interconnected and make an impact. You can protect your business against fire by installing smoke detectors, so ensuring that you minimize loss, sprinkler systems, and protect your cash and document by storing them in fireproof safes. So ensuring what the entrepreneur can do is, one, if a fire happens due to short circuit or whatever the cost might be, possibly can minimize that by having infrastructure about it in terms of important things to be in fireproof cases. Accidents and injury. Now, when you speak of accidents and injury, they can be financially devastating if a small business is held responsible for negligence. Now, if suppose there is a small entrepreneur who is into the business of say cutting welding instrument, he has 4 people, and due to any machinery which is not working well, possibly a welding instrument, if it is not working well, and because of it 2 people who are already working met with an accident. Now, accident which kind of disarms them or kind of affects them in a way that he is not able to work for maybe 6 months. Now, immediately from an entrepreneur's perspective, from his total size of 4 people, 2 have gone. That means only 2 are left. That means his productivity of his work has gone 50% flat. Yes, apart from that emotional, financial element that you want to take care of those 2 people as well. So this can cause affecting the model. So negligence is a failure to exercise reasonable care. That means that care about whatever instruments, infrastructure I'm using, are they up to date? Are they upgraded? Are they serviced well? Are insurance taken for these elements? People, resource, factory, any of those. Very important point to be noted. A lot of time they say often our short-term solutions are our long-term problems. I repeat, it is said often our short-term solutions are our long-term problems. So even if an instrument is showing some knack here and there, and if an entrepreneur or the business owner is reluctant to put money on that instrument because it will cost you at that point of time, and feel that this is a very minor kind of thing, he goes for a stopgap arrangement or something that just rectifies it for a short time. Now, if this is done for a longer period of time, we know that this is eventually going to blast off, and with that blast, it might be a major loss in terms of infrastructure, the machinery, human resource as well. So what we are trying to do and understand from this facets is that we need to know, for an entrepreneur to know very clearly, categorically, the fact that risk is inevitable, and it is important to know that any kind of operations, any kind of business operations that he is into, the risk of a customer not paying when you extend them credit and the risk of building being destroyed by natural disaster exists, but yet he goes forward and does it. So risk is very much part of the business. Speculative risk. We also spoke about speculative risk, the risk that is involved in getting by chance or a profit or loss, where we don't know whether the risk will pay off or not. There could be a loss, there could be a gain. We also spoke about pure risk, the pure risk where we know that pure risk could be because of crime, natural calamities, so on and so forth, shoplifting, robbery, employee theft. So pure risk is where we discussed that pure risk losses exist for sure. For an entrepreneur, it's about how is he going to minimize those losses or manage those losses well. So this were about the types and kinds of risk. Now we will speak about, from an entrepreneur's perspective, how he can manage this risk, what are the certain instruments available through which he could manage this well. We will also discuss selecting in the insurance agent as well, the procedures for deciding on security measures. So these are the areas that we will kind of discuss, and the emergency response plans for potential crisis. So let's go into one by one. So it's impossible to completely protect your business, that's for sure, from pure risk, but you can definitely mitigate that risk, manage that risk, decrease the risk, or in some situations eliminate as well. So one of the very good instrument that an entrepreneur has to manage risk is insurance. And insurance exists in various kinds and various models. So when we speak of insurance, it is through premiums. Now, so the concept of insurance is about your bidding any kind of thing that involves that you might have losses. So for that, I would pay a premium annually to an insurance company. Now it could be for life insurance, or it could be a general insurance for property, for non-life things. So it could be business interruption insurance, it could be the casualty insurance, it could be the errors and omission insurance, it could be a product liability insurance, it could be any of those insurance. It could be right from fidelity bond, performance bonds, workers' compensation, independent insurance agent, or direct insurance writer are the categories that they directly relate to. Now, for an entrepreneur, before he buys this insurance, be it of various type, right? It could be of casualty insurance, it could be because of business interruption insurance, any of those insurance, you need to be clear. First, you need to be able to evaluate what is the monetary element. Now, it is important, always important to understand, friends, that when we speak of insurance, element that we are looking at is of financial aspects only to cover losses. So, when we speak of risk management strategies, risk management is preventing or reducing business loss through various stages, and those involve identify the risk, where all the risk could happen. It could be the risk due to fire, risk due to burglary, shoplifting, employee theft, it could be natural calamity. The second step is an important part of risk coverage, that is estimating potential loss. So what kind of business I am doing, what kind of income I am expecting, and what are the elements or micro elements of risk involved, monetary becomes important. Determining the best way to deal with each of these risks. That means that it's not about covering entire risk, because risk falls under various categories as well. So important, is it about workers' compensation, or is it about the life insurance that needs to be taken of the employee, or it could be a disability insurance, where if suppose they are into a cutting and sawing mill and there is a chance that few of the people can face that risk because of loss of fingers, so there could be disability insurance to be provided. So managing risk involves three stages. One, before an insurance, can we avoid the risk itself? So are we better prepared? So they say instead of approaching an insurance agent, we should be there. But what if we develop measures so that we make it foolproof that the shop can't be robbed or shop can't be burgled down, or there is no shoplifting that happens. So are there methods or, through which the risk itself could be avoided? Second, can it be reduced? So can I minimize my risk? So there are three categories. One, can it be avoided? Two, can be reduced? Can I transfer my risk? So transference is all about I take the risk and pass it on to someone, a third party. We call the third party risk. So it could be through insurance, we pass it on to someone else, the risk. So that's about transferring the risk to someone else. So it could be a risk transfer, or it could be about risk retention. So we retain the risk. So all of these elements is what we are going to figure it out when it comes to risk. So they say business owners need to take these steps to reduce steps. So we'll also want to feature out what are the elements and businesses that people can look into, where they can see and ensure that this risk could be taken up and moved forward as well. One, design work areas to lower chance of accidents or fire. So one of the old sayings, and the saying says that prevention is better than cure. So before something happens, it is important to understand that can things be prevented itself becomes important. So can I prevent? So prevention, can I design methods in such a way that my infrastructure is fireproof? Can I design methods in such a way that those things are taken in account and managed well? Communicate with and educate employees on safety practice. So one of the methods could be also in training them, training employees internally, where they could look into, so that they have measures so that they can train employees to be sharpened about things, so they can make requisite needs which becomes detrimental. Check and service safety equipment. So this is called essential servicing. That means that at appropriate junctures and points are the machineries, equipments, policies upgraded, renewed, serviced well. Now imagine there is an entrepreneur who is into vehicle business. He has maybe 3-4 vehicles through which he does business. He is a car service provider, providing taxi services to the community. Now, if suppose he is not really servicing his vehicles well, that means that at appropriate time the vehicle doesn't go for wheel alignment, for engine oil, for cleaning, for overoiling, so on and so forth. If he is not taking care of these elements, and if because of this a vehicle meets with an accident because possibly the brake oil was not functioning well and the brake didn't go off at the right time, met with an accident, not only there was a loss possibly of the machine itself, possibly also loss to the people involved as well. So couple of losses that immediately might happen. One, the cost involved to repair the vehicle. Two, intangible loss to the business itself because of loss of reputation. So then it is important that time and again safety need to be ensured, and that's precisely the reason In today's manufacturing units, if you go, safety is more talked about. Yes, there is a long way to go, but lot of organized companies, system-driven companies, safety is one of the top three things discussed in manufacturing units. Wherever heavy machineries are used, wherever people along with machines are connected, safety is top three things discussed, apart from results, production, and technology. So safety, the reason it has own repercussions. Test company products extensively. Now, if you have read recent news about Sun Pharmaceutical withdrawal of lipotropin from US market, and those are in big quantities. That is a lipid lowering agent as a drug. Uh, a lot of drugs were recalled from the market, which Sun Pharmaceutical, Indian-based company, sent to US. One, because their product was not really tested well when it was manufactured. You might have also heard news where like Maruti withdrawing certain factions about variants from maybe a Desire or a Swift because of malfunctioning of certain products, certain range of products. So it's important. So time and again testing to be done is important. The other strategy could be risk transfer. Now risk transfer means buying insurance and paying a premium to cover. So that means that if something happens, maybe a fire, a natural calamity, a loss, I am transferring my risk to someone else. And there are companies who buy risk. So there are a group of companies who buy risk. And for that, I need to pay a premium. So could be, if for example, for life, it could be a term plan or an endowment plan. So if I need to transfer my risk to someone else, I need to pay a royalty about it, or in generic language called premium. So if I pay a premium annually, if at all something happens, that risk will be shared by someone else. So premium is the price of insurance a person or a business pays for a specified risk for a specific time. Let's take a very classic example, which is relevant in current times. The release of Padmavati movie. Now, Sanjay Leela Bhansali, any movies these days, let me tell you, are they also entrepreneurs, the producers? Yes. So, any big manufacturers of movie, Bollywood, also insure the film itself, insure the film for losses against any mishandlement or management. So, when Padmavati could not be released at an appropriate time because of other socio-cultural diversity and social cultural issues, what the producers did, that they bought the risk, they had insured as well. But the insurance company also was very clear about the time. They say that we could book the losses only if you release by this date, which is part of the policy norm. So it's also about specifying the kind of risk and also the specified time as well. So types of insurance, if you look into, it could be property insurance, it could be the casualty insurance, life insurance, or the workers' compensation insurance, broadly categorized into these types. So when you speak of business interruption insurance, now business interruption insurance allows business owners to continue paying important expenses. If the business is shut down due to property damage, the property damage could be due to various reasons, due to a riot, due to conditions of a strike of the workers. It could be any of those, the interruptions. So business interruption insurance covers against potential losses that results from having a close to business for insurable reasons and could be shut down for rebuilding. So an important element, because shutdown could happen because of unforeseen reasons as well. If a customer is injured on your business premise, casualty insurance. So if anyone is injured, so casualty insurance comes into the picture, where casualty insurance covers for loss or liability arising from a certain unexpected event, such as an accident, and for the cost of defending a business court against a claim of property damage. So any of those being covered is part of it. The third, when we say, is the companies that advertise can protect themselves by purchasing errors and omission insurance. So a lot of time when companies promote and put their advertisement, now if some customer end client look at the advertisement and say, oh man, this tagline or this color is already patented by someone else, or whatever you're showing in the advertisement is not part of the real product. It could be issues of these kind as well. And if somebody puts a claim or sues the company or the entrepreneur into a court saying that this cannot be copyrighted because it already exists, or you've stolen something else, or it doesn't resemble the original product. So in those cases, the errors and omission insurance is there with clauses to be known as well, where insurance coverage for any loss sustained because of an error or oversight on the business part, such as mistake in advertising. For example, let's take an example. I don't know whether you're aware of Gems, Cadbury's product. Now, Gems chocolate, the colors that Gems have are patented colors in that category of confectionery. I repeat, the color that Gems uses for Cadbury's in the category of confectionery, according to the FDA guidelines, the Food and Drug Administration, they are patented. That means no other company in the category of Food and Drug Administration under the banner of confectioneries cannot make the same colored thing, which Cadbury can sue someone against. So the point is, you need to be clear about what kind of things you are getting insured for. Manufacturers can protect themselves by purchasing product liability insurance. So any kind of liability that product might give, insurance cover that protect a business from injury claims that results from the use of business products. For example, there is an edible product. If you eat something and any side effect happen, this could be part of that insurance. The fidelity bond and the performance bonds are types of casualty insurance. The type of casualty insurance where fidelity bonds is a form of insurance that protects a company in case of employee theft. So any kind of employee theft that happens, there is a fidelity insurance for it. Performance bonds insurance covers that protects the business if the work or a contract is not finished on time or as agreed. So any of the sub-nature of the job where you're expecting a job to be done at a particular time, with this kind of performance is not being met, performance bonds are there to cover that as well. So business owners are required to provide workers' compensation insurance for employees. Now, it is very important to understand for a small entrepreneur in particular that the workers' compensation is very important, because any kind of mishap happens, it becomes important. So, insurance that is required by the government and paid for by the employers to provide medical and income benefits to employees injured on the job or job related illness. And hence the concept in India is about ESIC, the employees insurance. So where a part payment is done by government and part payment is done by the employer or the entrepreneur in this case, where any kind of mishap happens at the workplace or any illness to the employee is being taken care by the workers' compensation insurance. A business owner can purchase insurance from an independent insurance agent or direct insurance writer. So it could be any of those, and an insurance agent who usually is local, who represents multiple insurance companies. So it could be either through a agent or through a copywriter as well. So direct insurance writer is also available, where an insurance agent who works for one particular insurance company, such as a life or an automobile company. So it could be for working for an LIC or somebody who is an agent for portals like Policy Bazaar, Paisa Bachao, where there are various online insurance available as well, both in life and non-life category as well. Friends, it's very important to understand from an entrepreneur perspective, these are measures where in any case of casualty, could be tsunami, it could be any of those. These are cases where it helps the entrepreneur to protect his financial on safeguard. And for a small enterprise, it is very important dynamics. So security measures include secured doors and windows, burglar alarm systems, it could be panic buttons, card access systems, closed circuit monitor, fire alarms, smoke detectors, or sprinkler systems. So any kind of these are the methods through which losses could be managed well or reduced, wherein we methods of infrastructure backed up by technology, where this could be done as well. Planning for emergencies. That means your risk management objective should be to have the procedures in place before the crisis occurs. Now imagine all buildings, all residential buildings by law or by the bylaws of society need to have a fire alarm system. Any building for that matter, even corporate houses. But the point is, if you actually figure out how many people know how to use a fire extinguisher, and if people are not trained how to even open up that box and how to use it, it's not going to serve the purpose. It is just on books in the book, and the fire extinguisher will be seen there because it's part of the bylaws of society or bylaws of the organization. The people need to be trained as well in the case of fire how to use it. So to prepare for emergency, it's also about compiling emergency phone numbers and floor plans. So if you have on every floor, every part, you have an outlay about the exit plan, how to move forward in case of fire, where to move from. Keep important records stacked for quick removal. Educate employees about education plans, about emergency plans, about way to exit, whom to call, when to call, options available, put it on the board, stick it on the paste. Carry out practice emergency daily drills. So if it's a big organization, it's also about carrying out drills, so that in case of an actual crisis, how to carry out. And now you will find in schools as well, well, these emergency drills are practiced, where in case, because education itself is an enterprise as well, any event or casualty, how to go about if fire exists, so schools practice drills as well, how to evacuate children fast. So in case of actual event happening, things could be mobilized better, losses could be minimized. And if it's an enterprise of nature of schools, we know the repercussions in terms of brand image as well, which are huge. We'll just quickly recap in terms of the list of four risk management strategies. Those are avoidance, the risk reduction, risk transfer, and risk retention. We also spoke about steps involved in selecting insurance agent. That's about depending on the type of products, looking into what is the amount that need to be saved is part of the insurance policy. Discuss the procedures for deciding on the security measures, what kind of policy measures that are going to do. That means access security needs, and then have a professional security company dealing in and making moves so that the infrastructure, the building is protected well. Develop emergency response plans for potential crisis. That we spoke about training the employees, making them aware about sticking boards of emergency route maps, route plans, training employees well how to use the safety instruments and alarm systems. And also we big time also use the electronic enterprise as well, wherein we collect customer data as well. So electronically also we augment the risk-taking ability of an entrepreneur as well. So we use a lot of data mining tools, right from analyzing patterns, trends. We also use online forms, surveys as well to figure out in the similar kind of industry, in the similar kind of setup, in a similar kind of platform, how other people are doing it as well. So we kind of get into benchmarks so that standard operating norms could be developed so that we can facilitate this well. So this is what we have done and speak about risk management, which is a very much an inevitable part of business. Second part in this module, we are going to cover on entrepreneurship from a women perspective. Now, since the talks and times that we are living in is about woman power, girl power, we would like to throw light on women entrepreneurship, challenges faced, what are the critical areas that exist more so from an Indian perspective but also from a global scenario as well. So what we will try to cover is definition. We'll look into qualities of women entrepreneurs. Now, in our first module, we highlighted qualities in general, but we would be also interested from a woman perspective, what qualities needed. Problems faced by a woman entrepreneur, remedies to solve, needs and importance, growth, current trends, steps taken, what are the certain government initiatives that are taken so that women entrepreneurship is encouraged, statistical data about women entrepreneurs in India, stories of successful women entrepreneurs as well, we would look into, and this is what we will be covering in the session. So right from definition itself, so women entrepreneurs can be defined as a woman or a group of women who initiate, organize and run a business enterprise. So it's about right from a conceptual level to managing the entire show. When women are doing this, becomes women entrepreneurship. And Government of India has defined women entrepreneurship as owning and controlling an enterprise with a woman having a minimum financial interest of 51% of the capital and giving at least 51% of the employment generated in the enterprise to women. So by government definition, women entrepreneurship means 51% of the capital owned is by a woman or a group of women. In employment is also more than 51%. So category definition by government. And when we are speaking about women empowerment, one of the windows or ways to look forward is through is through the window of women entrepreneurship. The reason being, women who innovate, initiate or adopt businesses actively are called women entrepreneurs. Some other definitions being, women entrepreneurship is based on women participation is equity and employment of a business enterprise. Different definitions and different representations. For a country like India, friends, it's important because through ages, through centuries and ages, where rights of women were subjugated, where education was never being considered as a high priority for women, where equal rights were never considered for women, where independence in itself was never a priority for women. In this scenario, what entrepreneurship gives to women is, in a big way, a game changer, a paradigm shift, a window through which a woman or a group of women can come and express themselves, their talent, their thoughts, their ability to manage a business enterprise, their ability to grow, to evolve, to build a business, to build an image for themselves, for society as well. And also, they can encourage other women as well. And there are so many big names that we'll speak about in the later part of this module, who are kind of role models, not only for society, but also young girls, and who want to make it big in the society as well. So qualities that are needed to become a woman entrepreneur. One, accept challenge. So they say, which is this is also common for an entrepreneur, but for a woman to have this quality requires some guts, determination, confidence. Ambitious, need to be ambitious to grow, to evolve, to flourish. Must be hardworking. Patient. Why patient is important to become an entrepreneur? Because we know entrepreneurship is not a short-term role. It is a long span. Need to be a motivator. First, to be a self-motivated, to make it big, to think big, and also to make other people as motivated as well, if it is a group of more than two. Adventurous. Now, when we say adventurous, it means that want to be internally in the form that they want to explore. Now, imagine the story of Lijjat Papad. Now, Lijjat Papad, the Mahila Griha Yojana, in the early 80s, 90s, where women never had that, they were always, if at all, they were, first of all, they were working itself was less. The women who were employed were less. In that also, in that scenario, to start even conceptually to start a business of Lijjat Papad was a very big event, and that too an household product. So being adventurous, important, conscious, it means awareness, educated, important to do business. Because when we say education over here, is, yes, it involves education of curriculum education about what the world is about, what the product is about, what the business is all about, how to manage a business, maybe doing an MBA in business management, knowing about the product is important. Intelligent to make decisions, intelligent to manage people, intelligent to see the brighter side of the story, intelligent to make bold moves, intelligent to take risk. So these facets are very much important to become a woman entrepreneur. Functions. Now, what are the kind of key functions that a woman entrepreneur needs to take? And those functions are planning, organizing, decision making, risk bearing, innovation. Part of entrepreneurship, but for women entrepreneurship also not being different. Planning so much important because they say if you plan well, half of the battle you have already won it. Organization, being organized about whatever you're doing. Innovation, very much important. Decision making and risk taking. We will also want to, this is an interesting slide where we'll look into what are some of the interesting, what are the areas that a woman entrepreneur face challenges in. And the challenges are, one, the general problems. This could be divided into, one, the problems of the raw material or problems about the marketing problems. So problems of the raw material could be of problem of finance or the infrastructure problems, and the marketing problem could be stiff competition. So when it comes to challenges faced, it could be about having the resource, mobilizing the resource. It could be having the infrastructure, so there is no capital, there's no land, no machinery available. Or it could be about a woman is entering a completely male dominated arena. Now imagine Chanda Kochar becoming the MD CEO of ICICI Bank. Now a woman becoming the CEO of the largest private bank of India. In an area where people generally consider men to be a dominant part. And from there on, we have so many. If you see all financial institutions these days, all banks are led by women, right? From SBI to ICICI to Kotak Mahindra, all led by women role models. So general challenges are this. Problems which are specific to women entrepreneurs. One, highly male dominated society. So if it's a completely male dominated society, to make a move becomes difficult. In that also, low risk taking ability and lack of education, because women were not really educated over a period of time, few decades altogether. Hence expertise in that particular zone an area would be difficult. So handling that becomes important. Lack of business information, that means family problems. So that means that since they're coming from a women dropout, women arena, and since they're also family makers as well, so they need to take care on one half the family support as well, and from there those areas as well. So problems are specific to women are these. Remedies to solve them. So what are the measures through which this could be resolved? One, the financials. There are a lot of finance support groups that exist. Government, non-government initiative both. Marketing cooperatives. So there are now a lot of third-party people who market. So marketing earlier was always an in-house thing, but we know in these days whatever type of economy that you're working with, type of industry that you're working in, there are third-party marketers that are available as well. Supply of raw material definitely exists through third-party. Education, awareness, training. So just like this is a method of education as well. We are discussing on entrepreneurship through this lecture as well. Now, is this education as well? Yes, understanding this risk for a woman. It's also about understanding what kind of business they are into. Is the business worth taking? Would it still exist after 10 years? Is it worth investing energy, money, resource? Becomes important. Awareness about the environment, awareness about what kind of business model exists, how is the world changing, how fast is it changing, uh, e- how much of technology is going to impact this, all becomes detrimental. The factors now, friends, let me tell you from a woman enterprise perspective, couple of factors that are very important. One, motivational needs. Because we have always knew that entrepreneurship is that arena where failures are part of the journey. So we know that it's never, so people expect that performance is through time people will take off, a very linear graph. If you plot an x and y axis and people assume that if you start a business, along with time your growth chart will be proportional. In reality, it does not. By no means it's not that way. So that means that it's always a curved, crooked, nosedive, meteoric rise. It has all elements. That means that from a model of entrepreneurship, it is important to understand that falling down is very much part of business. That means you will fall often, and after falling, the ability to pep yourself up, the ability to self-motivate, the ability to have a self-talk, very important. And especially if a lot of odds are against you, then from a woman entrepreneurship is concerned, it is important to show that grit and determination to come back becomes important. Facilitating needs. Now, how things could be facilitated better in such a way that the operations are smooth becomes important. The motivational needs. So what all things include the motivational needs? Those include the economic necessities. Now, for an entrepreneur, they say the economic engine is important because they say that we have seen in our first session of a slide, 50% of new entrepreneurs cannot last the first 3 years. I repeat, 50% of enterprises that start cannot last the first 3 years or 1,000-day test. Simple reason, one of the primary reason is economies don't support, the finances don't support, because if within 3 years the break-even is not achieved, it's difficult to survive. Independence where is not only required only at the initial part of the journey, but independence is definitely required in throughout the journey, because a lot of time when we are speaking of women entrepreneurs, people might support you initially, but if a woman entrepreneur is booking losses year after year, then people who are backing her up as well might also feel challenged, might also feel that they might also demotivate things as well. Education and qualification, very detrimental, because they say if you're educated, the surrounding and the environment will respect you. That's also a cognitive bias involved. That's also a part of how people perceive things. So if somebody is not educated, even academically I'm saying, people tend to look people down. You kind of look down. And people who are educated, if you add a doctor to your name, and the doctorate degree could be not only of the MBBS or practicing doctor, but also about functional doctorate, about doing a doctorate in a particular field. People tend to look you by some standards. They tend to look you by respect. They tend to count you in. They want to listen to you. Family occupation and success stories of friends and relatives important. So when Indrayani Nuri speaks about PepsiCo, when Chanda Kochar speaks about ICICI, when Majumdar Shaw speaks about the biocon industry of biocon, people look it up and people see that they are role models. When we hear of a Mary Kom, when we speak of a Priyanka Chopra, they are all role models for young budding stars that sets in high aspirations to go. The facilitating needs could be in terms of adequate financial facilities, in terms of banking, in terms of loans, soft loans, capital ventures, experience and skilled people at work. So the resources not only of finances but also people resource. So uh, do I have the skilled people for a particular set of job? So it's not only about skill but should be skilled in the nature of the job. Development training programs. So it's also about developing people, training them as well. Cooperation of family, very important because for a woman they becomes the backbone. Since women always was seen as a family structural unit, hence a role of a woman getting support from the family becomes very important. And you will find that lot of people who have made big, if you heard biography and autobiography of a Mary Kom or a Priyanka Chopra or Majumdar Shaw, they always mention very categorically about getting support from the family at crucial points. Now, once the name is big, things become easier. But throughout reaching that point is the point where people need a lot of support, lot of encouragement, especially when people are in their lows. Now, we'll look into some statistical data now, which are very interesting as well. So, as per the 1991 census, we are speaking about good a good 25 years back. Only 1,85,000 or 86,000 women entrepreneurs were there, and they were primarily in the segment of handlooms, agriculture, agro-based. So primarily they were agro-based, since at that point of time we were still more agrarian as an economy. 95-96, close to 3 lakhs women entrepreneurs. During the 8th 5-year plan, appreciable increase was there. Another 5 years plan, number of people on women entrepreneurs were 5 lakh, and they're engaged in marketing, communication in the IT sectors, banking sector. So when it came to 2004-5, the nature of the business the women entrepreneurs were in also changed, right from an agrarian kind of entrepreneurs to more evolved techno also, be it IT, communication as well. Now also there were government also was part of this growth journey, where people supported government initiatives and plans, and those were through Mahila Vikas Nidhi, District Industry Center, Rashtriya Mahila Kosh, and various training programs to uplift women empowerment and education. And we'll speak about a few of these programs as well. Very important statistical orientation also from the perspective of state. Now the entire country also we have divided into states. So close to, if you see by state wise, the top state, that the percentage if you see, If you see the bottom right of your slide, the percentage of women entrepreneurs is 32% or close to 33%. And the highest state-wise, if you see, by category-wise, belong to two states. One was Gujarat and two was UP. So UP and Gujarat gave a lot of women entrepreneurs as part percentage. And the others also contributed were Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Maharashtra, Punjab, Madhya Pradesh as well, who contributed a majority of women entrepreneurs as well. Important to note also, the percentage is one. Friends, the second is also look into the number of units registered. So maximum women registered, if you see, were in UP, Tamil Nadu and Kerala. So top three states in terms of registered numbers, they are very high in terms of women entrepreneurs. Let's look into the women work participation. So one is the people, women who are running the business, but we also look into the women participation as well. So we will look into, in the single slide, divide into two parts. One, in Indian perspective also, we will look into a few decades, and we will look into other countries as well. A very important slide. So if you see in 70-71 period, so we have the top 4 data which are of India from different decades, and we have other countries as well. So from 70-71, the percentage of women participation was 14%, 80-81, 19, 90-91, 22, and 2001, it is 32%. Vis-a-vis, if you compare now with other countries, right, from US 45, UK 43, Indonesia 40, Sri Lanka 35, Brazil 35. So even we look in from other from developed countries, women entrepreneurship also for us in terms of percentile also needs to go up. That means government initiative also need to be taken on war footing. One, a lot of programs need to be initiated so that funding, loans could be managed well. A lot of support in terms of training, facilitating, empowerment needs to be done as well. We will also look into how the nature changes well. So when we look into the women entrepreneurship in India, earlier there were 3 cases. Now this is an interesting slide when we speak in terms of variables, and those are, they say earlier there were 3 cases: kitchen, kids, knitting in entrepreneurship. Then came 3 P's: powder, papad, pickles. So we are speaking of Lijjat and all those businesses. At present, there are 4 E's, and those E's are electricity, electronics, engineering, energy. So from K's to P's to E's. So sector-wise as well, the women who are into entrepreneurs have divided sectors as well, have moved to different sectors as well. So classically we can see from agrarian sectors we have moved to more electronically driven sectors. Some examples: Mahila Grih Udyog is a role model, is a benchmark as well. 7 ladies started in 1959. So when you're speaking of 60s, friends, very important to understand, those were the era when empowerment of women was not even talked about it as well, where Lijjat Papad in itself became such a big brand name. Lakme by Simon Tata, Shipping Corporation, Sumaj Moraji, it could be exports by Nina Mehrotra. Herbal product, who doesn't know of Shahnaz Hussain, were made into a global brand through her products and beauty products. Balaji Ekta Kapoor, when it comes to media communication, right from early 90s, now close to 2.5, 3 decades into commercials, TV ads, TV serials as well. We look into few government initiatives that were taken to take and augment women entrepreneurship. So under Mahila Vikas Nidhi, a cumulative help of 80 million was sanctioned during the period of 90s, with various training cum production centers were set up by NGOs, mostly related to activities like sericulture, spinning, weaving, block printing, handloom, products, handicrafts. Now, the purpose of starting this initiative of Mahila Vikas Nidhi was actually to help the rural household so that it can start off at a very grassroots level. And hence the industry that were picked up were from a rural economy as well. The district industry center. Now from a rural place, there were other programs that were augmenting at a district level, the DICs. DIC arranged various lectures and seminars, that is girl colleges and technical institutes, to encourage them to set up their own enterprise. It could be they were about weaving, about tuition, about tailoring. So at a district centers, lot of measures on training were done on technical institutes and ITIs, and also in girls colleges as well. The Rashtriya Mahila Kosh. Now, Rashtriya Mahila Kosh, it was set up in 1993 to provide micro credit to poor women who had no access to financial institutions. So, if you go to a rural place, not many actually have even a bank account. So, the concept of microfinancing went in very big in the early 90s era, generally also, but also to help people who can find to do a business. Lot of microfinancing activities were initiated, wherein reasonable rates of interest with very low transaction cost and simple procedures were given. It provided quite usefulness for especially for the lower income bracket of women was seen. A lot of training programs were initiated, wherein the government of India has started various training program schemes exclusively for self-employment of women. The training programs include the support for training and employment programs of women, wherein they were trained on what all things they could go, right from tailoring to weaving to washing, and development of women and children in rural areas. So initiatives were driven so that areas where people could do businesses at a very local household level, even it could be one person, maybe a group of 3-4 as well. So this was also an employment generation tool as well, and also to empower women at a very micro level also was the objective. Important associations were done, so to facilitate this, because activities, to start an activity itself might not be enough. So it was important that certain nodal agencies were selected to facilitate this, and those were FLOs, the WAVE and the ACWW. So when we speak of FLO, are the FICC's ladies organization, that is the FLO organization meetings, seminars and discussions on various aspects of business fields of women, and prepares them for challenge which they might have to face in operations and growth of their enterprise. So what FLO used to do is conduct meeting, because it's not just about starting. After starting also, what kind of challenges exist or what kind of hindrances might be there and how to facilitate and overcome them were discussed in FLO meetings. Very important for a small woman household. The WAVE, that is the World Association of Women Entrepreneurs, So not only nationally it was connected, but internationally as well. Where WAVE is an international association of women entrepreneurs. It organizes international conference of women entrepreneurs, where it gave them an opportunity to network themselves on a global platform. They could pass on the networks. They could talk and speak about common challenges faced and measures to resolve them. They kind of be a support group to each other so that they can come out of it if they face trouble. The ACWW, that is Association Country Women of the World, where the association has one core woman entrepreneur as its member from 60 countries, and they're mainly rural entrepreneurs. So these were a group of organization where women entrepreneurs were encouraged, and they form a global body. And common issues, be it from financing to marketing to communication, were the talked about areas when it comes to ACWW. Another statistical data of women entrepreneurs in India, important by statewide bifurcation, and very important to understand from this data, the maximum number of contributions, as we discussed earlier, also came from Uttar Pradesh, Punjab, Kerala. If you see the percentile of women entrepreneurs in these states were very high. Also the registered units, top three were Tamil Nadu, Uttar Pradesh, Kerala. So these are the three states also where women entrepreneurs, a body was already established, people were doing some roles or the other, and women were more empowered as well. And that's precisely the reason you'll find that Kerala has a 100% literacy rate. Where, more women work there as well when it comes to India as a country. So this also goes on to say that if women are empowered, and one of the way to empower is to do business, the entire family comes up, and that's so very important from a national perspective, because the economy also goes up because of it. Also in terms of statistics, where you'll find that contributions from India in terms of percentile has gone up over decade by decade. Successful women entrepreneurs, who we are always driven by the fact, okay, whom do I look up to? Whom are the role models? Now when it comes to women entrepreneurs, very important, they are role models for society and also for all budding aspirants who want to become an entrepreneur. Shehnaz Hussain, a global name, Indra Noori, PepsiCo, Neelam Dhawan, Chanda Kochar, Geet Bra. So these are all common household names when it comes to women entrepreneurship, and we'll speak about those names as well. So when we speak of Shehnaz Hussain, she brought the breeze of a revolution in the field of beauty treatment in India. So we always in India had this element of product coming from legacy of Ayurvedic, but her herbal beauty concept has won accolades all over the world and have adorned women for decades. The beauty chains, now if you see pan-India, there are parlors that are run by franchisees of Shehnaz Hussain. Wide range of treatment offering stunning results. Now she has a clientele including all renowned women personalities around the world. So from a single woman, now if you look into Shehnaz Hussain setups as franchisee, more than 500 exist in India through various, and also the worldwide as well. That's huge. Indra Krishnamurthy Noori, chairman of and CEO of PepsiCo, was, according to the Forbes 2006 poll, the fourth most powerful woman in the world. She was also named as the most powerful woman in business in 2006 by Fortune magazine. Nui served the board of directors for several organizations, not only for PepsiCo, but also she was a board member of other organizations as well, like from Federal Reserve Bank of India, the New York Bank, the International Rescue Committee, LinkedIn Center for Performing Arts. So various these committees, so a role model in real sense. Now, imagine a girl from a village does hear stories of Shehnaz Hussain or Indra Noori. They are kind of aspirations. They are absolutely motivational stories. Neelam Dhawan, Microsoft's India Managing Director, lead Microsoft sales and marketing operations in the country. She passed out from Delhi and also back to join Hindustan Lever, the Asian Paints. In fact, both of these companies rejected her because she was woman and could not fit in the marketing role. But going on to be a marketing head of Microsoft was quite a journey for Neelam Dhawan. Chanda Kochar, the banking lady, MD CEO of ICICI Bank, 51 is currently MD CEO of the India's largest private sector bank. She got masters from in MBA, Jamnawaz Bajaj, gold medalist, and also a husband, also an entrepreneur. Now, the point also to be noted from Chanda Kochar is she was educated, well educated. So, from a woman perspective also, we have mentioned this time and again that if the growth story has to be there, education a very essential part as well to become an entrepreneur. Geet Brar, Patiala-based entrepreneur, launched the music studio with branches both nationally and internationally. While Punjab has served female singers, none have dared to venture into music production thus far. Punjab always has been known to pick up given many entrepreneurs. But they were all men, right from, if you see, tire businesses, to hardware businesses, to automobile businesses, to franchisees of automobiles. They were all men. But coming from Punjabi background and to make it really big in music was Geet's big real achievement. We also speak about Mithali Kalra. Now, Mithali Kalra is Zao Foods, with the ideas of starting her own cafe took root in 2010. After completing her MBA finance, she spent a part of her working life working in Dubai and making her idea with investment and venture capitals and to start Zao Foods. Now, understanding, friends, that starting a business on your own, especially with a new concept, is really different as well. Because it's also about mobilizing funds, it's about creating a marketing plan, developing networks, hiring the right people for the right kind of job, creating a brand image, taking responsibility of corporate communications, looking into the legalities aspect as well, looking into from the procurement cycle, the infrastructure, warehousing, the end-to-end supplier, the marketing aspect, the sales aspect, the sales cycle plan. There's a hell lot of things. Even for a small little enterprise, they all come out in some form or the other. And take care of these aspects in a meticulous way becomes a good success story for Mithali Kalra. So right from stories of samosas, kachori, chole bhatures, no matter how much we relish our traditional healthy savories, these are nagging need to eat nutritious food. So it's also, since India always has had a nourishing culture where food is one of the top essential elements when it comes to creating happiness and joy. To cater this growing awareness of eating healthy is Mithali Kalra's year-old Mediterranean cafe closely tucked away in a corner of the Haukas village in South Delhi. So it's about creating awareness about eating right. It's not just about eating, but about eating nourishes meal, a balanced meal, wherein a year into operations, her turnover is 20 to 30 lakhs. Till date, she has invested rupees 30 lakh, but expects to earn lakh by the year 2017. So right from a very small business owner. So on one end of the spectrum, we have a Chanda Kochar rising to the element of CEO of the largest private bank, to even small eateries and foodies where people have started their own businesses to make it big. Now, important friends to also understand that world over, since India and a lot of few other Asian countries, the role and importance that was given to a girl in a family was not very much. To cut open the cultural mindset was important. Recent trend. So if you see nowadays, women in India are increasingly participating in all spheres of activity. Now you speak about right from bringing a medal in Olympics to power to energy, to all kind of activities, right from sports to areas of engineering, mechanical engineering, civil engineering, in telecommunication, in HR you will find a lot of people, in sales you'll find. So you'll find a lot of women involved to promote appropriate technologies to improve women efficiency and productivity. It's a lot of training, grooming up, activities that help women to be more educated, to be more aware of the skills required in current times, to involve women in decision making process. Now, so if you see a lot of board members of any organization, women representation is definitely there, close to 30%, sometimes 50%, even led by a CEO. So current defense minister, as we all aware, is a lady. So the point is, we are coming from a very diversified background and coming and giving her power to make decisions. Part of a decision making committee is important. To treat women as specific target groups in all development programs. So picking up women in all kind of roles. So right from sports to defense to agriculture to missile to aeroplanes. So you have all different kind of domains as well, participatory roles, even from a government initiative where selective seats are blocked for women representation, even the panchayat levels. So representing women right from grassroots level, from a village perspective, to district, to state, to country, where every level the representation is ensured, so that women really are empowered. They are given a chance to express better. They are part of a decision making panel. They are involved to be part of a R&D and creative team. They are definitely part of communicating HR sales team as well, where they are very much part of the journey in terms of becoming a successful entrepreneur. So to sum it up, when it comes to women entrepreneurship, they comprise around half of the human population. So we know women population constitutes half of it. But nowadays situations are changing, where government take various initiatives to promote women entrepreneurs. So when we are saying women become half of the population, it becomes important to make them half productively. So what we have tried to do, friends, today in this module, we have taken up two modules. One, risk management, and two, the women entrepreneurs. We have looked into characteristics of women entrepreneurs. We have seen role models and examples as well. My only request is, if you have any doubt, anything to share, anything to ask, please drop a mail to ISBM. We would be more than happy to share our expertise, thoughts, case studies on the same as well. And keep learning, keep growing, keep evolving. This is Professor Dinesh Gosai signing off the site.